Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Out of Spec podcast. You join me, your host, Francie, and my colleague, Max, here to bring you some news that is hopefully really helpful to you all if you're in the Houston, Texas area where there are rolling blackouts due to a hurricane, which means a lot of EV chargers are down. And we know a lot of our friends depend on public charging to get around. So let's cover this, what stations are down. It seems like most of them, and then maybe a discussion on how we could be better prepared or best prepared when there are natural disasters and big storms like this when it comes to EVs and EV charging. Let's plug in. This episode is made possible by the support we get from Fort Collins Kia. If you are in the market for any electric Kia, not only do they never add market adjustments, they will deliver your car to you anywhere in the 48 contiguous states for out-of-spec viewers. More information in the link in the show notes. Thank you, Max, for joining me again on another episode. This isn't the best news for folks if they're in Houston, Texas.
No. So just in general, what's happening, I guess, is Hurricane Beryl has made landfall and it's affecting Houston and a lot of East Texas, actually, pretty heavily at the moment. So it's basically going across the state, torrential rains, as I understand it, very strong winds. It should calm down when people see this, Tuesday, Wednesday. But right now, as we're recording on Monday, it's pretty bad. And what we're seeing is we can include some of our screen recordings here. ChargePoint, Tesla, EVgo, Ultra America, everyone has tons of stations down. And presumably, this is not their issue. This is just blackouts. They don't have power. The utilities can't serve it. But communication is interesting because there's been very little. I checked the Tesla charging account. I've checked most of the social accounts. There has not been a lot of communication in the drivers about what's going on. I assume everyone's reacting on the ground. The local teams responsible for maintaining these chargers maybe don't have a communications channel. But it's looking really grim if you needed to fast charge your EV right now.
Yeah, so Max makes a good point in that the communication, of course, there's been communication from the state that this hurricane has touched down and that, folks should be safe in terms of news and everything. But directly from Electrify America or EVgo or Tesla, we haven't seen any tweets or anything. So maybe they will lump it into the general rolling blackouts. But we thought it would be important to say that chargers are down. You can't access this resource right now. So hopefully, if there aren't evacuation orders yet, right?
No, there's not. But understandably, people want security during extreme weather events like this. Now, this isn't expected to go on that long, assuming Houston's infrastructure holds. There's not major flooding. I don't think people do need to evacuate. I don't know the local situation, but hopefully not. Should they, though, you'd want close to full charge on your EV, just for peace of mind. I mean, maybe 100 miles gets you in a safe area, in which case you really don't. But understandably, people want to know, I could. Right. If I had to go 400 miles, maybe I could stretch it and do that in, a Tesla Model S or something. So there are resiliencies and ways against this, right? Some homeowners, many EV homeowners actually have solar and backup batteries at their homes, meaning they have excess energy stored. So maybe not enough to fully charge an EV battery, but enough to get them out of a sticky situation, keep their basic utilities running for a little bit. That seems to go hand in hand with the EV economy. However, Francie, lots of folks don't, and especially lots of EV carriers people, maybe some who watch this podcast. I know one of their holdbacks is situations like this. In an emergency, what do I do if my home is not resilient enough, if I can't account for this? It's tough.
It is really tough. Yeah. On the other side of the coin of, maybe you have optimized charging and you can take into account that a storm is coming, charge up just in case of any emergencies. But there are people who live in apartments and condos who don't have garages. They might have a driveway, but they don't. I don't know. There's a lot of situations where you don't have at-home charging, and maybe you're putting it off until the next morning. And then hopefully, again, you'd know if the storm rolls through. But if you don't, and you're at 27% because you thought you would charge, how far is that going to get you on the highway?
Yeah, most cases of these storms, right? There's a few days notice. It doesn't come out of nowhere. We track, NOAA exists. We have satellites. But let's say you are in a shared apartment complex. That's a great point, Francie. Let's say there's 1 or 2 shared EV chargers for a community, and that's fine during normal times. But news breaks that in 2 days, the hurricane will hit. It'll be fast. you can do all you can, be smart, plan ahead, and plan to charge 100%, which would be easy for a homeowner with a private reserve charger to do. But for someone in that shared community, well, of course, everyone's going to be at that charger.
Mm-hmm.
And in communities like I know parts of Texas, Florida, here in Colorado, there's lots of EV drivers. That's a lot of stress on very limited infrastructure.
Yes. And while I understand that the charge point operators don't have a control in this is up to the utilities in the state of Texas and the city of Houston, wherever this is happening, they haven't communicated. I do think, like, we looked at their Twitters, we looked at their websites, we're not seeing anything. We see that the apps say that the site is down, but sometimes it says it's down for maintenance. So whatever system they have in place, it's not alerting to people, and it definitely didn't seem to come ahead of time in terms of an alert. So I do think that that is a fault from them, don't you? Even if it's not up to them whether they're down.
Yeah, right now it seems like a lot of the onus is on EV owners to just, plan ahead. And I know I can already predict some of the comments people will say in this situation, oh, just plan ahead, charge your car 100%. Sometimes people maybe have a lot of things going on in their life. They've forgotten about that.
Yeah.
They didn't pay attention to that news broadcast. They don't watch TV. This is an area where hopefully in the future, right, in an integrated like Tesla charging situation or charge point, home flex or some kind of smart unit that's Wi-Fi connected could tell extreme weather events occurring. Why don't I override the charge schedule and charge the EV to 100%?
Completely.
That could be really cool. That requires a degree of vertical integration in smarts that very few ecosystems have right now. But I think a situation like this makes painfully clear why that could be so useful.
Yes, definitely. And when it comes to, there are businesses in place that are making products and services for utilities to be able to help people, incentivize people for smart at-home charging. So it's whole systems that they're trying to build in, because as we know, as you might or might not know, utilities have been working with their traditional ways for a very long time now, and they need to update. Part of this is, if I have solar panels and the grid is under stress, let's collect that and be able to use that energy. But also, if you're able to predict weather and be like, well, maybe I won't be able to pull renewable energy as well because it's a cloudy day. Yeah. Also, if you know that a hurricane's coming in, like you said, Max, being able to override that schedule and make sure that the cars have this power no matter when it is. And maybe that's a setting where it's like, well, if in my app, I'm like, okay, if the hurricane's coming through, yes, you can override. But I think we're going to have to see more and more of these with storms like this happening and people going with an electric source as what is powering their way to get around.
Right. I mean, let's talk about that and just more directly, right? This is the specific anxiety where people implicitly assume, okay, if stuff hits the fan, I can go get to a gas station, fill up my Bronco in a minute and be out of there, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically, assuming there's not lines at the gas stations, which there are. I mean, if you've been to a Costco gas station, that can get pretty crazy. But you can, once you get to the pump, fill up very quickly, right? In an EV charging situation, well, people have that fear that, of course, it will take longer, and also that the station may be down, as we've seen. Now, I predict lots of gas pumps are probably down right now. Those require electricity. Let's not pretend they don't. So while, yes, fuel is a very flexible fuel source, very energy dense, gasoline has its advantages. This isn't an area I think EVs can't overcome. But it does at the moment for these early adopters, for folks who have EVs, require more planning, maybe more than it should. And this is an area, like you said, where the utilities, where the car companies, where the whole ecosystem can step in and just make this better. Because this is a huge peace of mind thing. One of the reasons people own private, cars, aside from fixing gaps in train service or public transit in America, is that assurance that, if I need to, I can take the family, pack them up, and we can get somewhere very quickly.
I think we've talked about this before a little bit, which is these edge cases, but very real cases that people experience that are emergencies, whether it's having to get to the hospital because you're having a baby and you need a charge, or getting out of somewhere because there is an evacuation order. Either way, if we don't have this abundancy of, backup, whether it's redundant and abundance or just systems in place to where you can get the power you need to be able to get where you need to go in emergency situations, there will continue to be hesitancy for EVs. But like you said, you can't forget a lot of our systems in the US use electricity to function at all. I saw that the metro is down as well in Houston right now. So public transportation is also suffering. So this is just one piece of the puzzle. But of course, we're EV focused. So we're thinking, how can we optimize this for these inevitable situations?
Yeah, this is a major stress test, obviously, on the grid, but the whole EV ecosystem, because this is the big question everyone has with EVs. What do you do when it gets really cold outside, when you don't have solar energy, all this stuff? Of course, we've spoken about there's ways around this, but this does require some degree of planning.
Mhm.
You can't just kind of, you can't just, oh, I forgot, LOL, like you can with a gas car. You do have to be a
Yeah.
little bit more prepared,
Mhm.
and that is a hurdle.
It is. And I know rolling blackouts also happen preemptively in other situations, like New York will do rolling blackouts to take pressure off the grid. They'll do that in California as well. Some friends of mine were complaining because she lives in San Francisco and they have rolling blackouts coming and it's hot.
Yeah.
But that gives you time to plan ahead as well. And this kind of thing happens. But it'll be interesting to see as the grid grows with the future, modernizes and embraces all the electrification that we have going on. It means a lot of things will have to change, including communication, how people plan, but how these entities in place help people in the best way possible so that they can have the power that they need.
Yeah, and get out, hopefully, of any situation they need to. Because
Exactly.
cars, we have them to use them. And this is a case where, people really may need to use their cars. Hopefully not. I think, if you can charge ahead of time, we at Out of Spec don't often recommend keeping your EV close to 100% charge, even 80% charge if you can help it. Because on a day-to-day basis, an EV with a 200, 300, 400-mile range, you're not using all of it. And so it's better for the battery. You should leave it moderately charged. But if there's any indication of an extreme weather event coming your way, I think we could probably both safely say it's a good idea to, in the days ahead, charge your EV a little more. And if you don't have charging at home, maybe just drive less, do what you can to keep that battery close to full. But keep in mind, your errands, if they're 20, 30 miles, that's not a huge impact. So just keep that battery a little bit higher.
Agreed. Hope everyone is okay as well with this hurricane. We know it's touched down, but it doesn't seem like you need to evacuate right now. But yeah, wishing everyone the best and hoping that this helps at least a little bit to either prompt discussions in the future or let you know that this resource is obviously unavailable to you right now. Thanks, Max.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone, for plugging in for another episode of the Out of Spec podcast. Definitely drive safe today. Stay charged. See you next time. Bye.